the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. Today is the 3rd of May. It is a Friday. And we had a couple things going on in the game of Upland. Obviously, heading into the end of the week with a number of exciting things happening this week. Obviously, we did have a collection reveal yesterday in D.C. Into today, we had the passes get snapshotted, and the list is out for who's getting what properties reserved for them. That's something you can easily take a look at. We'll take a look at that today, and also get into the start here of or the end start. I don't know what we're looking at here. End start of DC terminal or pre-sale on the terminals, because after our terminal sales, now that the individuals who now own the terminals after the sale earlier this week, they are getting the original first payment for the properties visiting or the visits to sends the travel, their percentage of the travel out that's already been dispersed. So it's kind of a way of giving that money back. That UPEX has always been sitting there in an account waiting for new owners of those terminals since last week. So exciting to see that happen. Kind of a couple other things. Small things, big things. A little tiny image in the game of Upland on all Block Explorers. You don't have a choice. It's there. Kind of a little idea of commemoration here of something that hasn't even happened. So we'll get into that. And a couple other small things to keep our eyes out on. And definitely will here as we get ready for Genesis Week 2024. I expect to see more little drips and drops along the way. And in the Upland update kind of highlighted that. The idea of the hackathon officially being announced earlier this week, the idea of officially having the opening of the designer it's not really the designer Genesis contest. I guess it is the contest, the Genesis contest for design that's open now. We have a bunch of other things coming up for Genesis Week with all the prizes and the airplane and this and that, and it's worth reviewing a couple of those things along the way. So kick things off. All views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone, should not be taken as game strategy or financial advice. Doesn't represent the game of the team of Upland necessarily. Any views and any opinions I do express, obviously, definitely don't take them as game strategy or financial advice. If we have guests or contributors on, they have their own opinions. They're welcome to them. Not game strategy, not financial advice. Don't represent myself, the Goldsmith, the Cafe Nightly Show, or the game of the team of Upland. Easy enough. Take a look at this. In the game of Upland, Layer 1 right now, no choice. I have no choice in the matter, but it is there. This little sparklet gives you wings. Little widget here pops up. It's there as they fly over the game of Upland. If I zoom in enough, you can see it, and everyone's got one. Every single Block Explorer in the game of Upland right now has it on there. Again, it was not a choice. It is something that's on. It is temporary. It's running through the weekend, and it's something to keep in mind that maybe Upland's been building towards this idea that they could have these and put these on. I kind of had this thought earlier in the week and last week when we were talking about, we saw those little widgets that Upland did as part of the Blossom season. The drop was, wouldn't it be interesting if we could do this temporarily and say all of these people at Genesis Week 2024 live in-person event, Genesis Live, and I think that may be just exactly what Upland could do. Is now they're showing us we can turn on these temporary little widgets on our Block Explorers and then take them away. Maybe we can see that they can show up for some people and not for others. Go figure. We kind of see that with the Blossom drops. Maybe, just maybe, if Upland happens to set this up the right way, we could have everybody who's in Genesis Week have a little special indicator that says this person's live in Genesis Week, and that could serve as something for people to say, oh, I want to communicate with this person, see what they're doing in Genesis Week, or maybe there's going to even be an event where Upland is encouraging people who are not at Genesis Week to interact with people who are at Genesis Week, and vice versa. I don't know, but it is cool to see every time Upland has a new iteration, a new event, a new way things are done. And in this little tiny widget, there's opportunity. There's potential for more to be done in the future. So we'll just see where that goes, put a pin in it, and see how that goes. Trees, good to see you. Good to see you. Hello. And jumping in with the other part of that, the part of that is the image and then extended. Obviously, huddle up for the Upland update. So much happening this week, including the Genesis 2024 theme. Sparklet gives you wings. Of course, this was the drop yesterday. Sparklet gives you the wings. This was the information that everybody was waiting for. The little hinty hint we saw in Twitter, we saw over Twitter over the previous days. This little picture and then this little picture, and we saw these little rivets, or little rivets on a cowling, and it turned out to be a plane. And that all ties into Sparklet gives you wings as being the theme for the year Genesis week, but it's also going to introduce planes in the game of Upland, and it does bring a lot of questions with some of the language here. I didn't really get into it too much. There was a lot there that came in quickly, but there was a couple pieces that were couched, a couple pieces of information that we didn't get too deep in, and they were repeated in the Upland update today. That really makes it interesting that the language keeps hitting so quickly, so rapidly. And I'll get into that real quick, but get through the language here. Genesis 2024 Hackathon Deep Dive, and of course, Sparklet dropped for Airdrop Chapter 1 that happened yesterday. So lots of things happened over the last week. Pretty pack-filled a week. To drop into what seems to be the most profound surprise. Airplanes, we didn't know they were coming, but the big drop here, or the kind of hinted point, was the term commercial, private. We're talking about private flight. We're talking about being able to have commercial, and we're talking about to just have personal use. And commercial means to me, and we don't have definition from the team yet, to me, that you could get compensation in UPIX in one way or another because of somebody else using the travel on your plane, where it's not you bringing an extra passenger and then maybe you have some side agreement with them, probably or likely with some iteration in the game of Upland and some either an escrow service or some other service that Upland's going to have in layer 1, where you could monetize that commercial plane, or that commercial plane could be used in a way that a traditional plane, a non-commercial plane, could not be. So that's kind of exciting to see. It's kind of a hint here. I'd love to get more answers. The questions are many, the answers are few, and the team of Upland may have those answers for us. I don't want to wait all the way till Vegas, all the way to Genesis week to have those conversations. So looking forward to, fingers crossed, getting some more information here from the team on what we're really looking at when we talk about the potential of the private flight coming to the game of Upland. And here we go on dropping into dropping in the Upland update of the week. The big three things, obviously, hackathon, the idea of updates on the Genesis week, all those prizes, the airplanes being part of the prizes, definitely up there. Collection reveal in DC, that's a big one as well. A big part of the week, and it wasn't as big of a part as I think it should have been. We technically already had the information, but it was dropped, obviously, with the link, with the ability to get in, with the ability to do things, and that was being able to get in and start submitting for our design competition, Genesis design competition, of course. That's big. That's huge for me because we're looking forward to that next step, the next step of having structures tied to specific neighborhoods. That's obviously being ushered in here. The next step of potentially individuals being able to design more and more structures, and the blueprint drops to follow. The idea of being able to theme your structure and be able, or theme your design and have that same theme apply to multiple structures. That's kind of exciting. I love to see that happen. And of course, that is kind of the origin of the genesis potentially of blueprint shops and designing custom blueprints for structures and having those be able to be sold for one-of-one builds, or one of a series of builds that are tied to ownership of a blueprint. So that'd be kind of exciting to see. Burn the blueprint, get to build the structure. Of course, that would be the anticipation there. With the looking back here, obviously, the nominations are over. The 2024 Upland Community Awards, that nomination did end at 9 a.m. PT today. You had your opportunity right through. You had about a week to get those nominations in. If you didn't do so, just remember to do so next year. This is an opportunity to nominate the people who are having a major impact in the game, the designer of the year, the broadcaster of the and the player of the year. If you appreciate something that someone was doing the game of Upland, this is a great time to say, "Hey, I appreciate what you're doing." Goes in for the number of nominations. Top three, top three are going to be potentially gain some a little bit of support, little bit of something from Upland to pay for or reimburse for room while in Vegas. That helps potentially take somebody who wasn't going to go to Vegas anyways and go. Someone like me would be nice as well. I'm going to go to Vegas regardless, but someone like me or somebody else who's going. If you get a little bit of something from Upland, maybe you are able to move those funds and use them somewhere else, and maybe they come back to Upland. Who knows? Who knows what happens there? But very excited to see that how this plays out. These are always fun. It's always fun to be able to recognize people who are having a profound impact in the community. Also, looking back here on the week, the hackathon. Of course, we are on a Friday here. This was a couple days ago, but we got to keep hitting this on the hackathon because ultimately it's a short period of time. We're running between now and the 10th. The hackathon, of course, is going to be something that it'll be a third time around. It is something that we have annually. This is a little bit of a different configuration. It's a little bit of a different configuration in that the full functioning prototype does not need to be built prior to the hackathon. It does not need to be built as part of the hackathon. It ends up being a deliverable. It ends up being something that gets made built later as part of the MVP that needs to be brought out. But in the beginning, it is a pitch. It's a pitch based on building a business plan, building plans for implementation, and being able to present that in a concise and again, a convincing way so that, again, you could be getting a new prize or could be getting a grant to help you along the way with the MVP. And of course, that recognition is always helpful if you got a new project in the game and you're trying to get that project recognized. So looking forward to that being an important part here of the week and moving forward. Of course, today we did have, and for anybody who did go ahead and buy the one of the 1,000 or hold on to one of the 1,000 parts passes, we do have those passes coming into the game as properties being reserved for those people. If we go and take a look at this announcement right here, it's a whole list. Every player who holds a pass, some of them have more than one pass, has a property that has been reserved for them. Minting requires the travel to that property. It requires the spending of UPIX in the amount of the mint price for that property. And of course, without question, that is going to be something that you are going to have to be in the city of DC. So if you're not in DC now and you want to mint your property and you have a property reserved for you, get over to DC, get back in the city. You only have a few days to get this minted. This does run through between now and the 6th as your dates to get the minting done. So that is this coming Monday the 6th is the last day to get those minted. And then they get opened up. They get opened up to the public. Anybody who did not get a chance, did not get a reserve pass, and sees a property that's on this list that does not get minted, they will have a point at some point, theoretically on the 6th, where they get unlocked to go and get those minted. Otherwise, we are looking forward again on a couple of the things that got dropped, but they all lead towards Genesis Week. Hackathon, Genesis Week. The design competition, Genesis Week. The brand new airplane that we did not know existed. The concept of flight in the game of Upland, Genesis Week. Obviously, the Albatross, the commercial plane that's going to be given away as a part of the big prize or as the big prize for Genesis Week 2024. Could be won by somebody in person. It could be won by somebody who is obviously not in person, somebody who is playing from home for Genesis Week 2024. We'll have some major competition. We'll have people have to compete along the way like we did for the Golden Llama last year, and we'll end up with one winner of that major prize. But going to Genesis Week has its perks when we talk about the flight, when we talk about all the spark that you could get when we talk about other prizes, including ultra rares that you could win just by going to Genesis Week. Well, one more prize in that prize pile. Actually, let's make it three more prizes on that prize pile. And those are going to be 3 MV Aviation 100 Sparrow planes. Again, the 3 passes through the Sparrow plane passes will be reserved and distributed to people who are at Genesis Week 2024 live event in Las Vegas. Looking forward to seeing how that sugars out, but it will be something that incentivizes someone because for me, if I wasn't going to Genesis Week for the Spark, and I wasn't going to Genesis Week for the ultra rare property, and I wasn't going to Genesis Week for the camaraderie and for the all the incredible Uplanders and events at the live event this year, I might go for one of the first airplanes in the game of Upland because I remember cars in the game of Upland. I remember the low mints being sold at a premium above mint price. I remember that. I remember having a million Upex and putting a million Upex down and as a bid, and then having the bid go significantly over what I was willing to bid on these. So I remember that happening. It definitely did happen, but airplane for me is a significantly more than a car, at least for cost wise, at least for capability, at least for prestige. Do I expect there to be as many planes in the game of Upland as there is cars? I do not. Do I expect planes and cars to have similar prices? I do not. Do I expect the capabilities of planes to serve as a really strong utility? And maybe. I would love to see. I would love to see another utility. I don't know if plane racing is going to be a thing. I don't know if flying between 2 cities that are not linked by airports, but again, because it's private, we can say we have a private airport. If that's going to be a major utility for people, I don't know, but I do know that it is fun. It is something fun. It's a bit of prestige. Maybe there's utility here. Again, as I mentioned, we don't have answers yet, but maybe there's a bit of utility that we can't get from cars. Maybe there's a bit of utility that we can't get from general commercial air. We'll have to see how that lines up down the line here as we get closer to Genesis Week. And along the lines of getting ready and getting prepared, do keep a couple things in mind. There was an email that went out from Upland today. It looks like it was a reiteration. It's an email that I had already gotten, but it was a reiteration of the discount rooms that I would assume that means they're still available. I rented my room. I booked my room months ago. So having a little bit of discount on a couple nights at Sahara, not going to change my mind about going because I've already going with what I booked, and I'm not going to get a better deal from this discount that Upland's providing, which is a great deal. It's not a better deal for me, so I'm not going to change my booking method. But I definitely can say that for those who are still looking at getting tickets, who haven't gotten tickets yet, that deal is still out there. It is significantly helpful for many people with less price, less cost. For a couple nights. So kind of exciting to see that still out there. But I'm sure we're going to get one more warning at some point. Upland's going to say, but wait, there's more. Or but wait, last chance to take advantage of these great opportunities. And they're going to send that out here. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the next couple of weeks. Keep in mind, we're getting closer and closer to Genesis Week, and I'll make the appeal one more time. If you are planning to go to Genesis Week 2024, thinking about going to Genesis Week 2024, I would recommend booking sooner rather than later. My experiences with the flights are the prices do tend to go up as you get closer to the event. The other thing that I do see quite a bit is sometimes availability can change as you get closer to an event, and maybe you can't get the flight you thought you were going to get. So if you are thinking about going, get the arrangement set up sooner rather than later. So for that, Genesis Week heavy as we head closer to June of 2024. Thank you so much for being here. As always, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. PT. We do the thing. We do a show. Typically, 7:30 p.m. PT is when we're live recorded. A lot of people get in there. But we do have the star, always the preamble, always in Discord and Upland Discord to get things started. If you're in Upland Discord, thank you so much for being there in the Upland Discord Cafe. Please feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.